Good evening, everyone. It's Friday. It's Chat with Mac. We're happy to have you with us. And for those of you that are new to what we're doing, welcome. Nadeem, how's it going, sir? It's been a
Oh,
very
it's going pretty good. Yeah, it's evening, and that's all my fault. I got stuck in traffic. I was on the way back, and I was gonna make it in time, but ooh, man, it was bad. Yeah, but I'm here now, so we'll get going. What are we gonna talk about, Matt?
well. Funny, technology moves at the speed of Jesus, light, sound, whatever you want to say. And so I think recently we talked about Apple and their new, the M1 chip, I think you were talking about before. So now IBM has come out with well, they're making some huge claims in regards to the chip that they've come up with. I wanted to see if you can really expound on that because some of the things they say that this chip can do is amazing.
So, IBM from the get-go has spent a lot of money on R&D on just technology. I remember they were doing something with organic memory, which would have self-healing properties because it'll be organic, so almost like living material.
Oh,
So there was organic memory they were working on. They were working on technologies to use photons instead of electrons. So basically, instead of electricity flowing through circuits, it'll be photons flowing through circuits, right? So basically, light based. And because nothing is faster than the speed of light, it would be faster than electrons moving in a wire. So that
wow.
that was the concept behind that. So they were doing a lot of research on that. Then of course there's quantum computing, which Microsoft has tried to dabble with as well, and it's still, those kind of things are still in infancy, but IBM has always been, kind of, their skunk works has always been very good. They do some amazing stuff, and a lot of times we don't see that the technology is coming out of IBM Labs, but it actually comes out of IBM Labs. It's almost like in the old days there used to be Xerox. Xerox
Hmm.
was a big technology company. Now they're just a copier company. I mean,
That's
it's
it. Yeah.
they still do some stuff, but they lost their touch, where they don't invest as much in technology like they used to back in the day. I mean, they had the mouse they come up with. I mean, they had, and they made some missteps. Like back when they kind of developed the mouse, they could have capitalized on that, but they thought it was just junk technology. They didn't capitalize on it,
Hmm.
and that's when Apple, I think, is when took ran with the mouse, and there was not really a patent associated with it because Xerox thought nobody was going to use it. So they needed some, I guess, better thinking and better management in that aspect. But IBM's doing great things. So the thing IBM's is doing, I think, that you're referring to, doesn't have to do with drives, doesn't have to do with sticking more platters in a mechanical drive. It's actually, and I think I have the article here. Let me see if I can share it real quick.
Hmm.
So let's see here. Yeah, so it's the two NM chip breakthrough that they're the two nanometer chip. So first of all, let me just say this. Let me preface this. People have been hearing about the 10 nanometer chips, and then the 7 nanometer chips, and then the 5 nanometer chips. A lot of that is BS. It's marketing. It's not the actual size of the chip itself. It's just marketing. It's gone are the days of when 10 nm actually meant actual physical 10 nm. It doesn't mean that anymore. However, in this case, so if we keep that in perspective, there's the people are talking about, I think, 5 nm. Well, AMD's and Intel's are supposed to be 7 nm chips. Per marketing, they're really not 7 nm chips. They're more closer to like 10 nm chips, but they're marketing those chips as 7 nm chips. So if you think 2 nm, and there's, I think, even some companies claiming 5 nm chips, but if you compare that with the 2nm, and you're thinking 2 times smaller than the 5nm chip, but it's actually a lot more, because this is the actual chip. The 2nm is the actual manufacturing size, the wafer size that they're talking about, compared with the 5nm, which is more of the marketing term, marketing speak, or the 7nm, which is more of the marketing speak. So it's a really huge thing. Now the question becomes, what does this mean? I mean, why are we spiraling down in the downward size of these chips? Well, here's the thing. The smaller the chip, the less distance the electrons have to travel in it to do stuff. And electrons are the ones that are doing the stuff. It's electricity flowing in the chip that's doing the calculations.
Right.
So the less distance the electrons have to do stuff, the faster things are going to go, right? I mean, they have to travel less distance. The other thing is, the smaller the chip, the less energy it will need, because the electrons have to travel smaller distance. So it's not going to use that many electrons. It's not going to use that much power to power that chip, because everything is smaller. So the smaller stuff gets, the less electricity it uses. Now, I'm going to give you an example of, back when I was younger and I used to overclock anything I could find. And we used to run into a limit of how much overclocking you can do, because the more you would want to overclock a chip, the more power you would have to give it to overclock it. But the problem is, the more power you give the chip, the hotter it's going to run, and the more bleed through you're going to get, because think of it like this way: the wires are the same size. If you're pushing more electricity through the same size wire, it's getting hotter. I mean, that thing is glowing. I mean, you could fry eggs on these chips when you overclock some of these chips. I mean, you can overclock them that much. But then we start hitting that limit to where you can only overclock it so much, because to overclock it more, you would need more power. You give it more power, then you start getting bleed through, or you start having issues with overheating. Now you need power to cool it down. But we started running into that physical limitation. So the thing is, with this 2nm technology, now you are reducing the energy required, because the chip is just that much smaller. So it's going to be great for new devices that are coming out that need to save energy, that are running on battery power, and they need to run, instead of 11 hours, they need to run maybe 24 or 25 hours.
Yeah.
And that's going to be possible with this better or smaller chip. So, and here's, the article, here's some of the transistor images in the nanosheet that IBM is using. So, it's not teeth, it's transistors. And this is, it's borderline hypothetical, and I say borderline hypothetical because it's not really hypothetical anymore. It's now going into practical. So we're kind of moving from theory to practical now, right? So IBM is saying that the 2nm process can cram 50 billion transistors into a chip, the size of a fingernail.
Wow.
So right now, with the 5nm breakthrough in 2017, that was 30 billion, and so going from 30 billion to 50 billion, huge bump in performance. So if we keep on this trend, we will still need quantum computers. We will still need computers that use light instead of electrons, photons instead of electrons, because there is a physical limit we're hitting with electrons, and we're fast approaching that physical limit where electrons can only move so fast. Now you can go in quantum computing, which basically really puts everything on its head. I mean, quantum physics, you can have two things do two, you can have two different things be in sync with each other across the universe. I mean, it's
Wow.
just mind-boggling stuff, right? Yeah, that's quantum physics. right? So we're not going to go too much into that. That will be really a moonshot if we could do that. But I'd be really happy if we don't even make that big moonshot going to quantum computing, but we just switch from using electrons to using photons. I mean, that in itself will be uh, so huge because uh, you'll be computing at the speed of light as opposed to the speed of electricity. I mean,
That's
think about
amazing.
it. I mean, that's just.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
we take it for granted, but we don't know of anything faster than the speed of light. You cannot be
No,
faster than the speed of light. So
nope.
if you can compute at the speed of light, wow. Now think of it. The other side of the equation is light traveling in a vacuum or light traveling just by itself does not create the level of heat that electrons create moving in a wire.
Mm,
So, I mean, there's a whole other thing now. So there, I mean, that's why I keep saying, we live in such amazing times
it
where,
is.
this
It is.
the technology is just, who was it? I think it was the Intel CEO back in the day who said anything that needed to be invented has already been invented. He didn't stay CEO for very long. I think it was Intel CEO, but yeah, I mean, it's like I'm more thinking like we just scratched the surface. We're
Yeah.
just we just scratched the surface and found out what is possible, and we scratched the surface and found a universe. I mean, it's that. I mean, those are the times that we live in. It's amazing stuff.
Wow.
So I think with what the IBM is doing and with what's happening right now in the market, um, it might be a good thing that we can now create more efficient chips. We can create smaller chips. We can cram more transistors into a chip, so we can compute more in a smaller size of silicon. We could basically have more compute power. Uh,
Amazing.
so I mean, yeah, it's just amazing stuff that's happening. And like I said, IBM might be that overgrown dinosaur, but they still spend a lot of money on R&D. They still do a lot of research like this. And I think it was IBM not too long ago, they were experimenting with organic memory, and they actually did make some prototype models of it. Actually, I don't know if they're gonna commercialize it or not, but the thing is that they're dabbling in it, they're playing with it, and that's how you invent stuff, is when you play with stuff. If you don't take those risks, then you don't reap the benefits, and but the thing is, it's just IBM's just, I mean, just going from 10 nm to um, we've gone from 14, 10, 7, 5, and then 2. I mean, that's
Two.
a big jump. That's a big jump. 10 to 7, yeah, it was okay. 7 to 5, yeah, it's okay. It's improvement. But then 5 to 2, that's a good size jump right there.
Mm,
So where does it end?
that's
Um,
a good question.
I think it's going to end with changing the entire technology stack. In other words, not using electrons anymore. Like I said, we are hitting the limits of what electrons can do. We either need photons to do something, or we need some totally different physics, quantum mechanics or something like that, because we are fast approaching the limits of what electrons can do.
Mm,
But it's still amazing stuff. I mean, amazing times we live in. It's just so that's going on, that's happening. On the other side of the equation, there and I don't know if we should talk about this or not, maybe we will. There is a lot of stuff going on in um, there's a lot of stuff going on in the industry, in the IT industry. So Kaseya, which is the largest MSP platform provider out there, they acquired a company that you've heard us talk about from time to time. You may not have heard of it in other places. This is an MSP specific company, managed service provider specific company. So Kaseya acquired True Methods, and we don't know. I mean, right now everybody's like, "Oh yeah, it's going to be business as usual." The management is going to stay there, and Gary, the owner of or the owner of True Methods, he's very passionate about this. So I don't think he's gonna go down without putting up a fight if Casillas tries to twist his arm, but we don't know. I mean, it's just the consolidation is it's just the big sharks are eating the smaller sharks and getting even bigger. That's what's happening.
Yep.
And the reason this is happening now, this is interesting. The reason why this is happening, True Methods works with a lot of MSPs that work in the SMB space, small to medium sized business space.
Mm-hmm.
The rate of growth in SMB space is much faster than large enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers that we see, the predictions that we see, the SMB space is going to explode. And that's why companies like Kaseya want to have a direct line into those MSPs that are in the SMB space. So I think that's what's happening. What is going to be the end game? I don't know. Is ultimately we're just going to have one big provider and that's it? I don't know. That's unlikely, because right now there are like 4 major MSP platform providers. Kaseya by far is the biggest. And another rumor is, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not. Don't take financial advice from me, guys. I'm not a finance guy. I don't even trade stocks. I mean, I'll just buy some stock and forget about it. I'll keep it on my account, but I'll forget about it. I don't. Kaseya here in the near future is gonna do an IPO.
Really? Really?
So it's a rumor that I've heard, but keep an eye out for that. I think they are getting ready. They are swallowing up all these smaller companies, and the private equity guys are gonna want a big dinner, and the IPO that's gonna be the big dinner. But anyway, there's a lot of things happening right now, and all this that is happening when we are so close to having some major shifts in the economy.
Yeah.
And I see this in running the businesses that we run. I see it in every business. So I run like 3 different companies, and each totally different industries, by the way, not just IT, totally different industries. Every company has trouble finding people. Right now, yeah, you might see the numbers that there's so much unemployment or whatever, but people don't want to work, can't find people. I mean, can't find people. I mean, we've even gone so far as to discuss the possibility of getting people in from other countries just so that we can fill the roles. I mean, we can just have bodies. I mean, we just can't find people, and this is across like all 3 industries that I work with. I don't know what's going on. I hear all kinds of things, but it's all innuendo and just guess. I think that we are at the verge of a very big economic shift.
I've been. It's funny you should say that, Nadeem. I have been reading that, and I've never been a type to, kind of fall for the conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. But I'm reading that a lot, that there are quite a few people that feel exactly the way you feel, that there is going to be some type of economic shift. And we're not here to scare anybody, but at the very least, let people know that, there's quite a few people that feel like that. And technologically, no telling how. I mean, look at what's been going on, within the last year or 2 years. When the pandemic hit and the economy got hit, my God, the bad guys went to work. I mean, they went to work. You just saw companies getting hit left and right, and phishing, not even attempts, just successful phishing attacks. And
Oh, that reminds me. So you bring up the bad guys and stuff. So very interesting story. Some scammers, they used the Microsoft platform. Basically, Microsoft has a bunch of partners. So if somebody's looking for something, Microsoft will put them in touch with the local partner. So it wasn't very long ago that there was this burst of activity where scammers were going through the Microsoft network, getting associated with or referred to partners, and then scamming those partners. Because in the partner's mind, they were like, okay, this lead came from Microsoft. Oh, hey, automatically this lead must be good, right? So they were not, their guard was kind of down. Even though these are like IT companies, their guard was down. I got a deal yesterday, and it's a local Houston company, and they're looking for Microsoft Surface books. And they're looking for 18 Microsoft Surface books. And so I picked up the lead. I was like, okay, I'll follow through it. And I asked the guy, the person who created the lead, and I'm gonna pull this up here. Let me just pull it up, guys. Sorry, I wasn't going to talk about this, but let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So let me and I don't know if I can. Well, I won't show you the screen, but because I don't want to give out any names, which company got hacked, which I really should. I feel like I should, but so I sent the person who created this request with Microsoft. He's supposed to be the chief financial officer of this company in Houston. And I asked him, hey, I got the referral from Microsoft regarding Surface Book project. Let me know when you have a few minutes to discuss, so we can go over the details over the phone, right? So his response, it says, Nadim, see below for what we're looking to order. I am also available anytime for a call to discuss our request. Microsoft-Surface Book 3, 15-inch touchscreen Pixel Sense TM 2-in-1 laptop, Intel Core i7, 32GB memory, 1TB SSD, platinum model. It has a model number in there. ... 18 units. We look forward to hearing from you with an official price quote and stock availability, as well as your company created application paperwork for Net 30 account setup. So, red flags going off for me right now. I mean, the red flag is, we look forward to hearing from you. Who the hell uses that? I mean, who the hell, I mean, who does that? Maybe 20 years ago in UK, people do that. Not now, not in the US. Okay. So we look forward to hearing from you with an official price quote and stock availability, as well as your company's credit application paper for Net 30. No way in hell I'm going to give you Net 30. I don't even know you. Right? But it could be. I mean, hey, they want 18 machines, so it could be true, right? So what I did is, by the way, in his signature, he has a phone number, and he has two email addresses, both at the domain name of this company, which is a valid domain name, but the email has been hacked. The company probably doesn't even know it. I try to call it. It's a big company. Left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. That's the the inclination, that's the feeling I got from talking to a couple of people over there. And I talked to accounting over there. I say, hey, is so and so, and he's a CFO, so I'm guessing he's in accounting. Oh no, he's not here right now, but I can give you a number that you can reach him at. Okay, give me the number. That number they gave me is not even close to the number in this guy's signature. And I looked up on their website up and down trying to find this number that this guy listed in his signature. Does not exist. So I left a message for the number that this lady gave me after I called the main company number and got this guy's number. So I left him a message on that number, not the number that was in this scammer's email, right? That wouldn't serve any purpose. So I left a phone call on that number. I left a voicemail and I told him, it's regarding this. Call me before we can proceed. If it was a bad guy, he was going to be clamoring all over it. But that tells me the actual person either is traveling or does not have access to, call people back, or he knows he's been hit and he just doesn't know what to say. What is he going to call me and say? Right?
Yeah.
So, but this is... Within the last year, this is the second time we've seen an uptick in these kind of crimes. This is, and I'm like, some small guy who's, and I'm not saying we're big. I mean, we're very small, but somebody even smaller could have fallen for it, shipped out 18 Microsoft Surface devices thinking he can make a quick buck, and lost all that money.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is the stuff next week that you might have questions about at 9 a.m. on the 13th that Nadeem can this is happening, and a lot of people don't know what their recourse is, what their next recourse is. And these are the questions that you can ask.
Yeah, not just that, but how to train your users. How to train your users when a third party is calling you and asking you, "Hey, is your CFO's email been hacked? Is your main company contact email been hacked?" Oh, I don't know. That was the answer. Like, they have no clue what I'm talking about. This is. Maybe I should call Microsoft. Maybe I should call my rep at Microsoft and tell him that.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this doesn't get anywhere. You can call the FBI on these kind of crimes. They'll direct you to this website that they've set up. They'll say, put your, it's like, I can't be bothered. Put your stuff in there. That's what I get from FBI. And I've called them on these scams several times before. Some guy's gonna get screwed over a bunch of money, from these hacker scammers, whatever. Scum of the earth. But the thing is, we gotta train our users to identify these kind of risks. Like this email, it's the language that really was the red flag for me. Was the way the sentences are created. I think it's subtle, but nobody says. Who uses the friggin' word "we" as only a scammer, only a scammer and his buddies. So Mac, maybe I should give you the number for this company. See if you can find somebody at this company and tell them, hey guys, by the way, people are using your name to scam people.
To scam people,
and not only that, and they have access to your domain emails. At least two. Your CFO and the main general inbox. They have access to those two accounts.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, what he's talking about, for those of you that I've called and sent you the dark web reporting, that's the reason I send it. That's the exact reason why I send it. You don't know what's on the dark web.
Monitor your breaches. This company is asleep at the wheel. I don't know who their IT guys are. It's a pretty big company. And I don't know who their IT guys are, but somebody's asleep at the wheel. And you can't really say, being in the IT industry, I've heard from IT administrators, oh yeah, friggin' users, or oh yeah, dumb users. It's not the user's fault. If you, as the IT guy, cannot secure the company, it's your fault. The IT buck stops with you.
Yep.
It's your fault. You know, it's nobody else's fault. Now, if you advised management that, hey, we need this budget to be able to secure these properties, and management said, no, screw it, we're going to leave it unsecure and risk it, that's fine. Now it's on management. But did you really talk to management in those terms? A lot of IT people, they don't. They just are so busy putting out fires that they don't even talk about embers that are flying around that are going to start fires. So be mindful of that. Those monitor the breaches. Without monitoring the breaches, it's like you're an ostrich with your head stuck in the sand. You're not gonna know what's going on. You think you're safe because you don't see anything, but that doesn't mean bad things are not there. You just don't see them.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we've beaten this dead horse. But this thing was hot. I mean, I actually called this guy this morning. I called him this morning and I left him a message. I gave him my cell phone. Hey, call my cell phone. I want to talk to you because you've been hacked. Your company's been hacked, and people are using your company name. And the CFO couldn't be bothered to pick up the phone and call me back that, hey, yeah, we know we are working with the authorities. This is what we're doing. I appreciate you calling me about this. Not even a word. And you know what's going to happen is the hacker's going to keep using these hacked accounts. They're going to scam. They probably by now they've probably already scammed a few people, a few IT companies. People who didn't pick up on these little subtle things in the email. They've probably done that. But anyway, I think we've beaten this dead horse. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, May 13, 9 to 9:30. Join us. We'll go over it. And in the Q&A, we can talk about all kinds of scams and stuff, and some of the things, like training, what kind of training systems are good, what kind of training systems are bad, why you need to have training for users, what are the implications of that. There's all kinds of things. I mean, let me give you an example. I'm just going off on this tangent, but but let me give you an example. So it's akin to back in the day, there was a customer we were working with, and we told the customer that, hey, the customer asked us, hey, I want to retain everything for 5 years. And in their industry, we told them, hey, you're not required to save everything for 5 years. You're only required to save stuff. I think it was 3 years at the time or whatever. It's just a while back. And the customer says, oh no, I want to save everything for 5 years. And I want to put it on our disclaimer on our little signature that we will save all communication for 5 years. And I sat with the CEO and I told him, I was like, look, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah. You have the technology to save stuff for 5 years, but if you save stuff for 5 years and you tell people that you are saving stuff for 5 years, somebody can subpoena you after 3 years, which was at that time the legal requirement. Somebody can subpoena you after 3 years before the 5 years is over, and the judge will order you to produce those emails. Do you wanna leave that door open? And the CEO thought for a minute, and he says no. He said, we're only going to say for 3 years. He's like, I see where you're going with this. We're only going to say for 3 years. Nobody had told. I don't know where the legal people were. I mean, this was a fairly good sized company, but I don't know where the legal team was. Maybe he didn't even talk to the legal team about this, but I told him, I was like, look, talk to your legal guys. There are some legal implications here. If, just because you can save for indefinite period of time does not mean that it's a good thing. Does not mean that you should do it. Just because you could doesn't mean you should.
Right.
And that's, so that's what we did was we then, instead of doing the 5 years, we went to 3 year. But that's the way security is you have to think about things from the way the scammers think to be able to get your head around it, like things like web-based forms. People think, hey, if I fill out information online for somebody, then it's safe. It's but see, in this case, this email that I have on this deal that we just talked about, their main website takes them to contact takes them sends the email to contact at their domain. And one of the emails that has been hacked that the bad guys are in control of is contact at their domain. So their customers, whoever fills out those forms online, the bad guys are keeping an eye on that. The bad guys are getting a copy of all that. And they will,
This is
see
the
it.
first time this isn't the first time something like this has happened. The crazy thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that when I first started with the company, I'll never forget, same exact thing. The hackers had been on their domain site, I think, for a while. The bank or a company that owed them some money sent, well, no, the hackers actually sent new banking instructions, thinking, and the accounts payable thought it was coming from, a legitimate company, and they were out 60 grand as a result of that. So, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a real thing. It's not something you can ignore, and it's just getting worse.
It's getting worse.
It's getting a lot worse. Yeah.
It's only gaining steam, and the thing is, the bad guys are making a lot of money doing this because people are falling for it. But enough of that. Let's end on a happy note. Tell me something that's happy, Mac. Enough bad news for the day.
What's happy? Dogecoin is doing numbers. Everybody's doing Dogecoin. Elon Musk, everybody's anticipating for him to say something on SNL, Saturday Night Live, and see it hit $1. So who knows, but I mean, everybody's excited, without me going on a tangent about cryptocurrencies, because I will, just like Nadeem, I will go on a tangent about that. But it's been incredible to see the reception. People are starting to learn. They're really hungry to learn about, crypto and what it can do. And it honestly, it's just if we're really being honest, it's just an element of technology altogether, the blockchain and the whole 9 yards, and it's growing leaps and bounds. So that's exciting. That's really exciting.
Yeah, I think the theory behind that, or what I liked, the concept behind cryptocurrency was, the gold standard.
Yeah.
There is no gold standard anymore, right? There is nobody's holding the gold, the amount of currency they have flowing in the economy. People think it's true, but it's not. But it's a self-regulating, think of it as a self-regulating gold standard, because you need so much compute power to create more currency. You just simply cannot create more currency just out of thin air, because you have to compute those hashes. If you cannot compute those hashes, you cannot create currency. So the more currency you create, the harder it gets to create more. So you can't just print money. You have to mine it by calculating hashes. And if you have, let's say if you had 10 hashes, then it would be easy to go from 10 to 100 hashes. But now that you have 100 hashes, it's very hard to go from 100 to 200. And as you create more hashes, the harder it gets to create them. And that's the self-regulating part. Now, in this day and age, back in the day when Bitcoin first started, people were mining Bitcoin on their PCs, on their GPU. First they started with the CPUs, then they switched to the GPUs. Now they went to custom ASICs, because it's getting so hard to mine those hashes, to mine that currency, because the more you have, the harder it gets. So it's an automatic control that's built in. So people think, oh no, but actual currency, gold standard is you can only dig so much gold out of a mine. You can print as much cryptocurrency as you want. You can make as much cryptocurrency as you want. Those people don't understand the technology. That's not how it works.
That is correct.
You have to have a log all the way back, and that's where the log chains come into play. Mm-hmm. But you have to have a log all the way back, and the more hashes you compute, the harder it gets to compute more. So you can't just indefinitely keep creating these hashes out of thin air. It doesn't work like that. But on that note, we'll end it. I already spent so much time on this, but Mac, one day I'm going to interview you. We're going to trade spaces, and I'm going to have you talk about cryptocurrency.
Holy crap.
We'll have you talk about cryptocurrency and what you're doing. You've been dabbling with some mining and stuff too, haven't you?
Mining, I really wanted to, and then just like you, when I figured out, how expensive it was going to be, it's like, nah, let me, yeah.
I just did a cost analysis for a company who wanted to. It's in the energy sector, so they had excess fuel they wanted to use to mine cryptocurrency, but I did a cost analysis. It's not worth it. And I told them, unless you own the hardware to mine the cryptocurrency to calculate these hashes, it's not worth it. So find somebody who already has invested the money and owns the equipment already to mine it, and then you can use that cheap energy or cheap fuel to create energy to power these machines to calculate the hashes. But other than that, it's not worth it. So with that, everybody have a great day, and Mac, I'll see you next week, and be safe out there.
Be safe, guys.